Hello everyone and welcome to the first game we'll be showing from the first round of the FIDE Grand Swiss that just started, and it's not just a great tournament, but it's also a very important one for the FIDE World Chess Championship cycle. The winner and the runner-up will get their spots in the FIDE Candidates Tournament 2024, and we'll be joining some of the players who have already qualified. You know that Jan-Krzysztof has qualified already, as he played the World Chess Championship match against Ding Liren. He lost, and then he gets seeded right into the next cycle of the candidates tournament. And then you have the top three finishers of the Chess World Cup 2023, which are Magnus Carlsen, of course, but he will not be playing. Maybe he will, still, who knows. He says he's not going to, probably he won't, but he still might. Pragnananda also qualified, and Fabiano Caruana qualified, and Nishat Abbasov if Magnus Carlsen will not play. So we already know 4 players of the FIDE Candidates Tournament that will be playing. We need 4 more, and those 4 more will be decided. The top 2 finishers in the FIDE Grand Swiss tournament, the tournament that we are now covering, the winner of the 2023 FIDE circuit, and of course the highest rating for January 2024. There are a couple of candidates that might get this position. Alireza and Hikaru are very close to getting that, and as they are both playing in this tournament, should be very interesting. So the FIDE Grand Swiss 2023, a few words before we actually check out the game, and it is quite a nice one. I thought about covering a few others, but I thought you guys will enjoy this one the most. It's taking place from October 25th to November 11th on the Isle of Man in the UK. It's an 11-round Swiss tournament that will determine 2 places for the 2024 candidates. That will decide the challenger. Of course, the winner of the candidates tournament will challenge the world classical chess champion Ding Liren, if he decides to play, as he still has he has yet to play a game after becoming world champion. And the total prize fund is $460,000, with $80,000 being for first place. Now the time format, we have the time control of 100 minutes for 40 moves, followed by 50 minutes for the next 20 moves, then followed by 15 minutes for the rest of the game, with a 30 seconds increment starting from move 1. So a little bit about the tournament before we actually check it out, something I often like to do when showing the first game from the tournament, but we are not going to do that for the other games of the tournament. Now let's check it out. Quite a beauty. You guys will enjoy this one. Jan-Krzysztof Duda faces a grandmaster from Iran, Pouya Idani. Let's check it out. Duda, with the white pieces, opens with pawn to c4. He goes for the English opening. We have pawn to e6, the Agincourt defense, knight to c3, and pawn to d5. Duda plays pawn to d4 and transposes into the queen's knight variation of the queen's gambit declined. And here we have pawn to h6. This is a very rare move. Maybe like the 10th most popular continuation in this particular setup, but it has been played by some very strong players, even by Magnus Carlsen himself. He played against Temur Rajabov in 2021 FTX Crypto Cup, and he even defeated Rajabov with this h6 move. So we have knight to f3, knight to f6, and now, knight to f6, and bishop to f4. We have bishop to d6, and now bishop captures on d6. Now, Magnus also had this position with black against the Ding Liren in the Skilling Open, but that game ended in a draw. Ding continued with pawn to e3, but here we have captures on d6, we have queen captures, and now pawn to c5, grabbing more space in the not in the center, but you know, deciding not to fight for the central control anymore. And now you are advancing the pawn to c5, and now you know that b4, a4, b5 are coming, so preparing a minority attack here. Queen to e7, and now pawn to e3. We have castles and pawn to b4 now. So this has all been played before, still nothing new. And there is a game Martin Lokander played it against Lucas Van Forest in Bundesliga last year, and Lucas Van Forest won that game. He played pawn to a6, but here we have pawn to c6, and it is now, as of move 9, that we have a completely new game, and this is where our game basically begins. We have bishop to e2, continuing development, preparing the castle. pawn to a6 now. We have castles, knight b to d7, and pawn to a4. So, of course, you know that b5 is coming at some point. We have pawn to e5, and now queen to c2, gaining more control over the e4 square. We have pawn to e4, chasing away the knight, knight to d2, and now knight to h7. So, Duda is obviously playing on the queen side, and Pouya is preparing f5, f4, and g5, g4. He wants to attack the white king with some pawn pushes on the king's side. So pawn to b5 and pawn to f5. We have a very nice race here. Knight to b3 and pawn to a5 now. Saying that, okay, you could advance the pawn, that's not really spectacular, capturing isn't really doing anything, but Duda says, okay, you played a5, it's defended by the rook, but my knight is already attacking it, let's prepare a nice discovery here. Queen to d2, now puts pressure on that a5 pawn, and look at what happens. Pawn to g5, and Duda now goes for it here. Pouya sort of gives Duda a deadly dare, because you know that knight captures on a5 is happening. Rook captures, and then all sorts of nasty discoveries are possible, like knight captures on d5, going after the queen and the rook. While of course, it does require you to look very, very far into the future. If you can actually pull this off, it is by far the best move, and Duda plays it. Knight captures on a5. And okay, rook captures, knight captures on d5, attacks the queen, so you have to react. C captures, and queen captures on a5. So okay, 2 pieces for the rook, but look at this massive pawn chain here. Of course, now the queen will move, and then the a pawn will march forward. You know that Duda now will get a pass pawn. Question is, are his queenside pawns faster than Pouya's kingside pawns? So let's see. Knight d2 f6, queen to b6, preparing to start advancing pawns. We have pawn to f4 and pawn to a5. We have pawn to f3 and g captures on f3. We have bishop to h3 now, going after the rook here. And if Pouya can get 2 moves in, let's say queen to d7 followed by queen to g4, if this tension here is resolved, then he's very, very close to actually checkmating Jan-Krzysztof. So pawn to a6, and now e captures on f3. If you go for the rook with bishop captures on f1, after bishop captures, there's really no good way to continue the attack. Like e captures on f3, nothing's happening. A captures on b7, already b8 is being threatened, and there's no way to reach that white king. So instead, after a6, we have e captures on f3 first, and now bishop captures on f3, and now b captures on a6. Now, the reason you can't go for the white king right away is because you're always behind them, at least a move. For example, a captures on b7. Rook captures on f3. You can even pick up this bishop here. White gets a queen into the game with check, and after you block, there's just no good way to continue. Rook to a7, and if you could get your queen to g4, sure, but you just can't. So instead, after bishop captures on f3, first b captures on a6, now comes b captures on a6, and now pawn to g4, attacking the bishop here. And okay, you probably are wondering, why not just try to get our queen into the game somehow? Queen d7, maybe queen to f5, go after the bishop. It actually is the best move, but it still doesn't work. White has this beautiful queen to b3 move, and now after queen to f5, attacking the bishop, there's this very annoying e4 move. You defend the bishop, you attack the black queen, the d pawn is pinned, you cannot capture with the pawn, and if you play knight captures on e4, then bishop captures. And now, once you capture, or you don't have to capture, you can give a check, then just king moves, and the bishop is still guarding this entire diagonal. You will play queen captures on e4, but now queen captures on h3, and you just, I mean, you have 2 rooks against the rook and the knight, and the passed a-pawn is still marching forward. There's no way to actually reach the white king here. But yes, queen to d7 is the most resilient way to play this. g4 was played, and while this is not as maybe objectively precise as queen to d7, it will require Duda to make the only moves that will win him the game. He plays queen to b7, queen to e6, and now feel free to pause the video and try to find the only move that wins the game for Jan-Krzysztof while I give you a couple of seconds. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding this elusive idea. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is bishop to h1. this is the only move that wins. You might think, okay, isn't bishop to g2 the same? No, it isn't, because we just trade, and after captures, there's queen e4 check, and after king g1, already knight to g5, and once knight to h3 lands, that is game over, so this will lose you the game. Instead, bishop to h1 was played, and now with the control of this diagonal, there is no way for the queen or any of the pieces to reach the white king. So knight to g5, trying to get them closer, but now pawn to a7. Duda won just enough time to accomplish this. Knight to f3 check, but now he can give up the bishop. Bishop captures on f3, g captures, and now again only one move for Duda wins the game. Feel free to pause the video and win it for the second time, because sometimes it's not enough to win the game once, sometimes you have to win it more than once in a single game. So have at it while I give you a couple of seconds. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on always looking for fine ways to sacrifice your queen. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is queen to b8. It's not really a queen sacrifice, because you also will get another queen into the game. But it was important to do it this way, because, okay, we're not just going for the rook, we're also preparing queen back to g3, because that's our only defense against queen to g4. But it's important to play this and not this. If you play queen to c7, then queen to g4 will be a problem. But look at this, first knight e4, and now you might think it's the same. Okay, we bring a queen into the game, now queen g6 with check, and now after you block, now the knight simply captures queen, knight captures, h captures, rook captures on a8, and it will be enough for a draw. This comes with check, king f7, rook f to a1, and the two rooks against the black king on an open board will be sufficient for a draw. However, after queen to b8, now this also comes with a threat of queen captures on f8, and then we bring another queen into the game with tempo, and now black is simply not in time. Now, if you try the same idea, knight to e4 will simply capture on f8, and after king captures, a8 queen, and after, well, if the king moves, then you go after the king, and then you win the black queen, or you play, you play queen to e8, and now you simply trade, doesn't really matter, captures, and now rook f to b1, the two rooks will of course be stronger than a bishop and a knight. So instead, after this exchange, after queen to b8, bishop captures on f1 was played, and here Duda just played a8 queen, and it was in this position on move 32 that Pouya Idani resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So quite a position, not something you see every day. The queen almost having access to checkmate, but not really. This queen to g3 move always blocking. Duda having the two queens, the rook on a1. Basically, it's the only way to continue. Like if queen g4, you're gonna block, and now you're gonna win the queen on a8, but it doesn't matter. Rook captures with check, and after king f7, you will trade queens, and after knight captures, yes, you have a bishop and knight for a rook, but only for one move, because king captures on f1, and that's it. Now the rook will defeat a knight very easily. And for those of you who like it when I sort of finish the game, knight captures, let's say king g1, knight g4, c6, c7, c8, that's it. There's no way to defend this with black, and of course it would be pointless to try. So yeah, very impressive by Jan-Krzysztof. Only 32 moves to finish a classical game like this. Very wild stuff, and it always is when you get to these positions where b4 is played. Again, I have to say, b4 such a strong move. If you can get those pawns marching up the board, a minority attack is always very dangerous. So yeah, very nicely done by Jan-Krzysztof. I said also was looking into some other games. On board one, Fabiano Caruana faced Ivan Šarić, and it was also a very fine Sicilian game, but I thought you guys would enjoy this one the most, and some of the games are still being played. So if you have a favorite, use hashtag suggestion as usual, and I will very happily go over your suggestion. So yeah, that's the game and a little bit of extra info about the tournament. Hope you enjoyed it and that you were able to solve both pause the video moments, which I'm sure you were, as you all are amazing players. I would like to thank Gampati Murthy, an anonymous person, Daniel Taylor, Marbak Emirki, and Grid World's Logical Letters for iOS for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, and also covering the games of the FIDE Grand Swiss until it finishes. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.